So thank you, Nick, for being here and for taking time out of your very busy schedule. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So in the Great Reset that we're going through, I mean, this is an economic recession that we've seen since the early 2008s, and we're still in recession.
Yeah.
Right. We've seen that historically, the economists have viewed this, in a very interesting way. They've said that the greatest inventions have taken place just after a recession after the economy has returned back to normalcy, right? Now, we all know we are headed towards a new normal. We won't head towards the normal that existed before this recession. A lot of new inventions, right from horse-drawn carriages to cars and appliances and electricity and transport systems, and those kind of inventions all happened very close to the period after recession. Now, we all know that recession has its constrained resources. People can't put enough resources at it, time at it, money behind it, and so they all kind of accumulate at a point of time. And just when they come back into the recovery period, that's the time when we see that innovation spurt happen.
Yeah.
Are you sensing something like that happening in the cloud world? Are we just constraining innovation because of lack of resources? And as and when we get back to recovery, do you think that you'll see a big boom, a big burst?
I do think so, and I think the dynamic may be a little different now than in previous cases, but I think there's the old saying, necessity is the mother of invention, and I think that's true when you enter a period of economic contraction and hardship. A lot of companies have to figure out ways of doing business that are fundamentally more efficient and more productive than they were in the past. And I think if you look at the adoption of cloud computing up until now, a lot of it has been driven by the economic constraints on companies and capital constraints on companies. And the question is, how can we do this cheaper and with less capital than we had in the past? And whenever you get that pressure, you get a lot of exploration of more centralized models of supply, where rather investing your capital in your own systems, you can buy services that replace them. And I think that's been going on in kind of puts us at a position now where some of the basic foundations for cloud computing have been laid as a means to make IT more efficient and more productive. What we're going to see now, I think, is if the economy comes back, as we all hope it does, is a shift away from the pure efficiency focus on cloud computing to what new types of innovation and creativity and new types of working with computers and using this new resource does this make possible. And I think just as we've seen in past kind of revolutions in IT, for instance, the introduction of the PC also came out, in the early 80s, time of weak economic growth and stuff, is that they always set off this explosion in innovation. At the beginning of the PC age, you couldn't predict all the applications you were going to suddenly see over the next 5 years for PCs. And I think we're at that same point right now with cloud computing, that we kind of know the efficiency benefits, we kind of know some of the basic technologies underpinning it, but what we still don't know is, what new types of innovation, whether it's in applications, in various services, in social networks and so forth, what types of new innovations is this going to make possible? And that's kind of where we are right now. And I think people would be wrong to underestimate the kind of flow of innovation that's going to come out from cloud computing, particularly in the business world, in the next few years.
That's a great point. So from IT does not matter to IT does matter to clouds. Will clouds matter?
Well, one of my fundamental points in Does IT Matter is that companies need to draw a distinction between infrastructural technology and strategic technology. And infrastructural technology is absolutely essential. You need it to run your business, but it's not going to give you competitive differentiation. It's not going to give you an advantage. It's something that all companies, at least in your industry and maybe throughout an economy, require. And so electricity, for instance, to go back to that analogy, became became an infrastructural technology when it turned into a utility. And before that, it was actually a strategic technology. Companies got advantages from being better in using energy, producing energy, and using energy. And I think what cloud computing does is it changes more and more of traditional IT into an infrastructural technology. And I think that's what a lot of IT wants to be. It wants to be a shared technology. And this, on the one sense, that means a lot of this isn't going to provide any one company with a big advantage. But what it does mean is that, and this is true again of technology after technology, actually when a strategic technology becomes an infrastructural technology, it often becomes more important than ever. And even though it's shared, it becomes a platform for interesting new strategic thinking and new ways for companies to say, okay, given that we have all of this as a shared resource now, how do we build new competitive advantage on top of that? And I think we're seeing, in some ways, by kind of making the divide between infrastructural IT and strategic IT clearer, the cloud is allowing companies, smart CIOs, smart CEOs, to think about, what are the applications here, what are the services that really can give us a strategic advantage, can differentiate us in the marketplace. And I think in that sense, cloud computing, which is in some ways the kind of manifestation of IT as a infrastructure resource, nevertheless frees companies to also think about it more strategically than they did in the past.
Great, Nick. So thank you so much for your time, and all the best for you afterward, and we really appreciate your insight and your comments.
Thanks very much, Anubhav.